Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar using self-assessment tool to aid your career development. Today I'll be joined with Tracy and Steve. Myself, I'm Abdul Hai. I think the slides are not moving. Are the slides moving? Yeah. Okay. So my name is Abdul Hai. I work at NEOM as Health and Safety Auditor, and I'm a member of, I'm a chartered member of IOSH and a member of Future Leaders Community Steering Group. I'll be joined by Tracy from CPD team of IOSH and Carol from Education team of IOSH. Tracy, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Tracy Steens. I'm CPD team leader at IOSH. I'm the leader of the CPD team. There's 4 coordinators, and we're all here to help and support with members' CPD and development.
Thank you. And Carol?
Hi everybody, I'm Charlotte and I work at IOSH like Tracy in the education team, and I spend a lot of time doing presentations and speaking with student members of IOSH, as well as people who are delivering the qualifications to those students.
Right, thank you. Okay, so who are IOSH? So let's say IOSH stands for Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, which is a not-for-profit professional body. We have members from around the globe, like maybe we have around more than 40,000 members with the mission of being a leading voice in global occupational health and safety and to support our members at every step of their career journey. Okay, so the topic is, what is self-assessment? Self-assessment is like we do assess people, like which is not like we don't assess ourselves, we assess other people. So to avoid that, we assess ourselves. It's kind of personal reflection, assessing our skills, behaviors, and values, and comparing ourselves to a specific standard or say any future goal you have set for. It's like thinking ahead of the future and identifying areas of improvement for our development. There are benefits of the self-assessment. First, we'll say in terms of learning, it allows you to learn faster using target and focused approach. It helps you to improve your performance by learning emerging skills for the future. And it helps you to be aware of your current, aware of your current capabilities and help you understand your priorities in terms of improving yourself. Okay, so the types of self-assessment, first we'll have CPD, which Tracy will talk about shortly. The other one is personal motivation, like setting a goal, like where we want to be being, say we have as a professional goal to be a manager or a director in an organization. Learning from workplace habits, like asking or getting to know, for example, if you're working in an organization, you might see people getting promotions. So you might learn like what are his habits and why is he getting promoted using unconscious bias, and learning skills such as for resilience and going through a physicometry test like 4 colors. Okay, so this is a statement from famous actor Bruce Lee, which says, we are always in a process of becoming and nothing is fixed. Have no rigid system in you and you will be flexible to change with ever changing. So we'll say that, okay, we are in an environment where things are changing, such as AI, which was not there, like say 2 years ago, which is a new thing. And some of us or many people around the globe have been affected by it. Like they are in shock because they didn't learn it. If you'll be in shock, of course, when you don't learn it. So in simple, I'll say that if you go with it, if you go with the flow of change, you will be happy and you will improve yourself. But if you resist it, you will become unhappy and say you might become rigid and unhappy with that. Yeah. So that's it for mine. Okay, so I'll be handing it over now to Tracy. Tracy. Okay.
Thank you, Abdul.
Yeah.
Okay, as I've already said, I'm here to talk to you today. So I'm Tracy Steens, CPD team leader within IOSH, about continuing professional development and what that is. And we always call it CPD for short, for ease of reference. So continuing, what is that about? Obviously, it's ongoing throughout your health and safety career, because giving competent and up-to-date advice is an essential part of protecting people in the workplace. And it is the responsibility of all occupational safety and health professionals to ensure and to maintain your own competence. Also, CPD is a systematic and planned approach to the maintenance, enhancement and broadening of the knowledge, skills, experience and expertise, and also the competence of professionals throughout their careers. By requiring our graded categories of membership to undertake CPD, IOSH shows a commitment to the principle that attaining the relevant qualifications is not the end of learning, and that competence to practice must be regularly developed and also reviewed to be in order to be a capable and rounded OSH professional. Sorry about that. So, what is CPD? As I've already said, it's demonstrating a professional competence. It helps with your career plans because it's looking forward into the future. You know, not only does it help maintain your level of skill and knowledge, it will improve your skills and knowledge if you start recording your CPD, because it helps you to look back and also reflect on what you've recorded from a future perspective. But also, it's developing in a cycle of learning. So everything is ongoing. You're always going to want to develop within your career. Okay, so how does CPD work? Firstly, it's important to assess and plan. The first part, which we've already spoke about, is to use our new tool, which we launched in the last 9 months, so November 2022, is a massive benefit for IOSH membership, is to start using and complete a self-assessment. This is within something called our Blueprint tool, which is available to every member of IOSH. Please use Blueprint to self-assess your current knowledge and skills level, and also to help you build a personal development plan based on the results of your self-assessment. This will help you to build an impression for your own career aspirations. Secondly, is to learn. Complete planned learning so you can plan for the future, but also build on that learning. This will acquire your skills and knowledge. You can do this through a variety of CPD activities. And again, our Blueprint system will help you to suggest those development areas. And this will be, again, based upon your self-assessment outcome. Thirdly, an important part of CPD is actually to record your learnings. And then you can build up a record of everything you're learning as you go along. And this is an important tool for you because you can always use this record to look back and reflect on what you've learned and how far you've come. We do have different grades of membership, and we do ask our Tech IOSH, grad IOSH members, chartered members and chartered fellows to keep a mandatory record of CPD to support their grades of membership. We do ask for a minimum of 30 hours of recorded CPD over a 12-month period. Lastly, a very important part of CPD and recording is to apply and reflect your learnings. So please capture what you have learnt and how you've put this into practice. How was it benefit to you? What was the benefit of actually completing that activity? There is an opportunity to capture this within a notes section of your record within Blueprint. And this will help you to identify any strengths, but also any gaps in your knowledge in order you to develop further. And this will help you to continually grow within your career. So what do you measure yourself against? We do have a foundation called the competency framework. Now this underpins everything that's within our Blueprint tool and goes on to make sure that the OSH professional is completing CPD within our tools available. As you can see from the circle on the slide, we do have different areas within our competency framework. These are divided into technical, core, and behavioural categories. So as you can see, to be a fully rounded IOSH professional, there is different areas that you can develop in to make sure that you are capturing what is needed within the foundation of that knowledge and learning. To help with this, we do have a full library of resource that you can use to develop in that area. Okay, so we have got some examples on this slide of what the Blueprint tool looks like and how you do self-assess. As you can see on the first screenshot at the top, we've got those different sections. You have your progress bar above that to show how you're getting on and what you have completed in each area. Once you click onto these different sections, you will see that there's a series of questions which are multiple choice that you go through and answer. Once you have completed the self-assessment, this will progress onto creating your personal development plan, which is a useful tool to help you to satisfy what you want to complete within your CPD and help you record it. The dashboard, which is on the bottom screenshot, is your own personal dashboard. This is where you have access on the home screen of Blueprint to access your CPD record and record your activities. Add to your development plan and make it personal to you. It gives you the opportunity at any time to reassess as well, and you can reassess in the individual areas that you wish to. And then on the last box as well is the CPD resource library. So you've got the content there of what you want to learn about or where your development needs are. So you can access that for over 1,000 hours of resource mapped to our competency framework. Okay, lastly, there's no screenshot of this, but we do have something new as well called the IOSH Ethical Practice in IOSH e-learning and assessment. What this is a free course for you to complete. It's not mandatory, but it's available to you, and it's all based around ethical practice. Okay, so I thought it would be useful to include some examples of CPD activity. CPD it can be anything you're learning, you know, knowledge that you're gaining, skills that you're developing in, and anything that's benefiting your career going forward. We get a lot of questions of what people can include, members can include for part of their CPD. And we've included quite a lot here, but it's not limited to these. You know, there's different things that people will attend, different things that people will learn, day-to-day activities you're doing, that could all add in. If you're applying for jobs, if you're researching for jobs, that can all be part of CPD because you're still learning. You know, you're learning about that company. If you're currently completing a qualification, obviously that's a massive part of your CPD learning. So please add that in as your CPD as well. Okay. Okay, so CPD compliance, what is that about? So we're a chartered professional body, so all chartered professional bodies have to have a CPD compliance. It's important to make sure you familiarise yourself if you're part of another body or professional association. For example, if you were based in Singapore, you have the Ministry of Manpower, and they might have different rules around CPD and things like that. Also, obviously, there's specific industries out there. So there's the medical industry and there's the law industry, for example, that again, the different industries have different requirements based around their CPD recording. So that's quite an important part to note. Regards to IOSH CPD and compliance, as I've already mentioned, we do have different categories of membership that have to record CPD activity. and that's when it becomes mandatory. So that's if you're Tech IOSH, Grad IOSH, SEAM IOSH or CIF IOSH. However, if you're affiliate membership or student membership, you are totally free to record, and we do recommend it because it's a progressive learning, as I've mentioned, you know, and it will get you to that next stage if that is something you're interested in as well. Okay. And then, okay. And then lastly, common mistakes. A lot of people will say, I'm going to put it off till later. You know, it's very good to record CPD on a regular basis. I would recommend at least once a month that you go into your record and start recording it as you go along, because to leave it and then have a long time to record it after so long, you're going to actually forget what you've done. So it won't be a true reflection of what you've learned at that time. So I would recommend either you record it straight away when you've completed that part of CPD, or you regularly go in and maintain your record. Another one is not prioritizing your own development. We do this all the time. It's human nature. It's good to prioritize your own development. You know, that is a good benefit for yourself and your own learning. Please be honest in your reflections. It's good to be honest. You know, you might attend a course or something else, an event, and perhaps not learn anything from it. That's fine. Put that in the reflection. But you're still recording your CPD. You can still see what you did and what you did at that time. Another thing is obviously on the hours. People say, well, I've attended a 5-hour course. Can I actually record 5 hours? What did you get out of those 5 hours? Perhaps you had a good knowledge of that subject already, and perhaps you're going to be at a different level to this person sitting next to you. I always recommend that you record the hours that benefited you most to that learning. Okay. And then also sticking to safe development areas. Please broaden your knowledge. Please go out of your comfort zone, because this is what tests us, you know, in our careers. If we go out of our comfort zone, this is a good recording mechanism as well, because you can see what was benefit to you and how you can actually stretch your knowledge and stretch yourself. And then, as I mentioned earlier, self-assessment. People perhaps sit on one self-assessment and just do it just once. Perhaps after a 12-month period, you'd like to reassess. And that is the point where you see yourself, where you've progressed so much and you've come so far. Okay, so lastly, we have a question for you. And what would happen if no one completed CPD? So we'd like you to type your thoughts in the chat, please.
I'm interested to see the responses for this one.
And then I think that's my last slide. Yes.
Going to put my own one in the chat, which I think is oh yeah, there's some comments coming in now. You'd become stagnant. Yeah, I think we've all felt that once in a while. Yeah, perhaps a barrier to progress.
Okay.
That's a very good one as well. No evidence of what you've actually learned. It's very hard when you have to go back and look over the previous year to see what you've done. If you've not kept a record, it can be really difficult to remember what happened each week, especially with how fast life's pace is now.
Definitely.
Yeah, not keeping up to date with current sort of regulations and updates, definitely. Yeah, some really good responses in the chat, and I think it shows, you know, it shows the importance in any profession, to be honest, of us keeping up to date with our particular skills and kind of progress. And I like that idea that Roland's just put around limited ideas and solutions to practical problems. you know, the idea that actually if we're not all trying to advance ourselves, then we kind of just keep coming up with the same answers and the same responses, don't we?
We can say, yeah, so we can summarize it like we won't be up to date with the knowledge and skills required in the market, or say we won't have any plan for the development in the future. I think that's what all the answers are going around through.
That's a really good summary. I completely
Yeah.
agree. And I think it really hits home one of the roles that IOSH has as a professional body. So you'll find that a lot of professional bodies require members of certain levels to do CPD. It's quite common. And it's one of the ways that we kind of keep an eye on and uphold the standards in the profession. So we at IOSH have a royal charter that was issued to us in 2002, and it allows us to give the chartered status to people who meet those high levels of competence and practice and experience. And so one of the ways that we uphold those standards, of course, is by asking members to do their CPD. But it's really important to note that there may be areas that you want to improve that are not necessarily on the competency framework. And what I'm going to do now is just finish the session before we go to Q&A and talk to you about some of the career self-assessment tools that we have available on our IOSH Career Hub. So the IOSH Career Hub is a dedicated careers platform that we have for members of IOSH. It's available to all member grades, and it's dedicated to specifically your career development. So, for example, I've put a screenshot on there so you can see the kind of different activities that you can take part in, anything from answering career assessments that I'll talk about in a minute, to even things like building a CV or doing an interview simulation to see if you can answer some of the questions that come up. It's also you've got access to digital skills training. So if you wanted to develop in something like PowerPoint, Word, Google Docs, any kind of software you can imagine, there's lots of sort of digital support on there. And something to note that is that some of the content from our Career Hub does also get included in the Blueprint catalogue as a sort of way to meet some of those core competencies. So you might find when you're on Blueprint that it does link in with the Career Hub. So it has been kind of integrated with Blueprint as well. So our career platform, it really does three key things. It's got self-assessment tools to help you learn about yourself as an individual. There's e-learning topics in things such as equality, diversity and inclusion, and those digital skills I mentioned. And then, of course, there's the practical job side of things like writing applications and CVs. So what I'm going to do today is just draw your attention to the career assessments that we have available. So from the homepage of the Career Hub, there is a section called My Career. And within that, there's a few different tools you can use to learn a bit more about yourself, sort of plan the kind of jobs and career that you want, and understand a bit more about yourself. So I'm actually going to use an example today just to demonstrate this for you, and that is the motivation at work assessment. So similar to Blueprint, when you go through, as with any self-assessment, it will ask you a series of questions and you can respond to give an idea of how you feel about the particular answer. So, for example, this motivation at work question is asking how you feel about taking responsibility for decisions. Now, it's really important when you're answering self-assessment questions that you really reflect on how you feel about it. If you've experienced something at work or in your studies before that's similar, where you've had to take, for example, responsibility, and then that will help you understand how you feel about it, and then you can answer the question. So in this case, perhaps if you've had to make a decision in your studies that has caused you a little bit of stress, it might make you think maybe I'm not very happy with taking responsibility for decisions. Or if you've been in lots of maybe roles already, or in your studies you've had experience of actually having to decide quite a lot, you may be a little bit more advanced in that. So when you get to the end of a self-assessment, as you can imagine, you'll get a kind of summary of how you've performed in each area. And for the Career Hub, it quite often does this visually. So here you can see that failure aversion for this person is their problem. They perhaps avoid situations where they are going to feel like they might fail. So they like lower risk options at work. They don't want to be involved in big decision making. But of course, the more you climb the career ladder, the more likely it is that you're going to have to make some big decisions. Therefore, what you can do from here is it will give you a written report of some examples of things that you need to improve. So in this case, it's suggesting change management as something that might help you with failure aversion, because it's quite common at work for there to be significant changes, successes and failures, and being more resilient to those things can help you feel more comfortable to take higher risk decisions in the future in the work context. So that's just an example of one of the career assessments that we have available to members. Now, you might be wondering, why should I focus on those kind of more soft and behavioural skills, especially when you're focusing perhaps on the technical learning side of things on a qualification, or even in your day-to-day work? Well, it's because in many of the workplace reports that we're seeing on future skills, these skills that you see on the screen are just consistently appearing. And at IOSH, we've been having lots of conversations recently with recruiters and employers, and they say that they have, candidates that have the technical skills, but they aren't always able to demonstrate things like emotional intelligence, leadership skills, or flexibility, for example. So what better way is there really to prepare for the future world of work than by being more self-aware and by being able to use that language of employability to kind of assist you in improving your skills and being able to have those conversations with recruiters and employers about what skills you hold. So that was a quick tour of one of the areas on the Career Hub that you have access to as an IOSH member. Now, we've deliberately left some time today for a Q&A before we'll go to our closing remarks, so that we've got plenty of time to answer any questions around any of the stuff that we have covered today. So I will just stop sharing the screen so that you can see us all, and we will go straight to the Q&A.
Hi, thank you. That was a good one. Okay, so there was a question like, what do they attach as evidence for attending a webinar for CPD?
That's a very good question. Tracy, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. If that's regarding attaching it to your CPD records, it's not mandatory to attach the evidence, but it's available to you. I mean, we'll never ask for any evidence on your CPD. It's really just for you to describe the activity and put a definition in there. Make sure you log your hours, a description and your reflection, and then you can match it up to your development area that the self-assessment has produced. But underneath that, you get the opportunity to upload your evidence. So if there's any evidence you've got that you want to pop on there, and keep it all in one place, it is there for you. As long as it's not over 8 megabytes, it will allow you to do it.
Yes, and I think it's a really good way of keeping track of, for example, any attachments you got from if you attended a webinar and you maybe wrote some notes down, or if you took any screenshots. It's a really good place to keep it. I don't know about you on the panel, but whenever I've attended an event, I'm always going, where did I put that? Where did I put that? So it's a great way of keeping track of everything.
Thank you. The other question is like, how many CPD hours can be considered for 2-hour webinar? Like, there was another question as well, which says like how do they calculate hours for for the CPD?
Again, that's a personal decision. So I would always recommend you to log the hours where you've got the most learning from. If it takes 2 hours and it was a 2-hour course, then yeah, by all means log that 2 hours. If you want to do it as in the benefit you gain from that, because you might already have some knowledge from that course, then it could be some parts of the course and not all of it. But again, it's a personal decision. We can't advise to you really how long you can record for your CPD, because again, it's a personal decision. So again, be honest. You can always describe it in the reflection or the description that it was a longer course or a shorter course, but you've put longer hours in the description for this reason, or the reflection, because you might have to go away and do some more further learning from it, and therefore it could be longer than the actual course was scheduled for as well. You might have an assessment afterwards, you might have coursework, so there's always opportunity to log longer hours than the actual schedule of the course, or less hours if you want to.
All right, thank you. I think we don't have much questions remaining related to the topic. Seems like there was a question for internal training attendance for my CV. Like, can they register internal training they have attended with their employer? So I think that's a yes from your answers. Yeah.
Can that be
So,
CPD? Was that? Yeah, definitely.
yes,
Definitely.
part of CPD, like
Yeah.
you're developing yourself. Yeah.
Learning.
I think that comes back to the idea that people sometimes, in the same way that Tracy was referring to all the different things you can log as CPD, I do think that sometimes people think in order to record CPD, you have to have attended a big CPD workshop or a formal CPD training session. But actually, the whole point of CPD is that you look for ways that match your learning styles. You know, maybe you're someone that learns more by reading, so you're always going to want to perhaps read something rather than watch a video, for example. Or and I think it's important to remember that and actually it's something that came up in a discussion with us before this webinar. Abdul mentioned that sometimes people think that CPD is going to cost them a lot of money, and actually it, you know, with the amount of free resources that are available out there, it doesn't have to cost anything.
And you've got that content within Blueprint itself to access those free tools, and the Career Hub too, which you've just shown, Charlotte. So that's all free learning.
Right. So I think we have answered most of the questions related to the framework. Okay, so there is a question: how do they start? How should a person start for CPD? Like, if someone is hearing first time for CPD, and where do they start from for CPD?
Where did they start from? Was that?
Yes.
Yep. So, excuse me. So it's from when you joined us as a member. That's when your CPD will begin, or when you're planning on joining us as a member. So that's when your Blueprint is accessible, and that's when you can start your CPD.
And I think if you're someone that is planning on becoming a member, or is in one of those categories where CPD isn't a mandatory requirement yet, it's definitely worth starting as soon as possible, because you know you're learning every day. I have a CPD record that I keep I've kept since I started work, and it, you know, over a decade's worth of information going back to the initial learning that I've had. And it's also really it's a really kind of humbling experience to have a look back at what you were learning at the very beginning of your career versus the sorts of things you're learning now. So I do think that you can start as soon as possible. If you aren't an IOSH member yet, obviously you can still keep a log of the training and activities that you're attending or reading, and you can keep a reflective kind of journal of your learning and what you experienced. But then if you are becoming an IOSH member, then you've got some information ready to go that you can use towards your CPD.
That's good. Thank you. I don't see any other questions being asked related to CPD. Okay, there is one coming in. Okay, I'm new and CPD is okay. Okay, so there is a person typing his question. He says, I'm new to IOSH CPD and recently have completed self-assessment. I identified 21 areas. I think those 21 areas are related to improvement. I don't see anything coming up.
Mohammed's going to be very busy then.
Yeah.
That's it's really good to hear that you've completed the self-assessment. Oh, Tracy, I think that might be a question for you. Can I do more than 30 hours?
Of course, 30 hours is the minimum. So if you go over that, that's fine. You know, the 30 hours is set there for a 12-month period, but if you endless, really, endless amount of CPD. That's up to you. The 21 areas that the self-assessment's identified is a good number. It's about average, to be honest. And that's what's created your personal development plan. So you can choose the dates when you want to complete them. Don't think you've got to do that in a 12-month period. That's for you to decide. Again, that's why it's called personal. So you can work on those different areas over a different period of time if you wish to. If you are progressing to another, say, for example, category of membership, maybe it's something you'd want to do sooner. But that, you know, that could develop into something further as well for you, because it's identified those specific areas. But those specific areas will all align to the content we've got available within our CPD resources library too.
And I think, just to add to Tracy's comments, it's definitely worth pacing yourself, because I think some people can get very excited about CPD and then perhaps try and cram a lot in a very short space of time. But actually, CPD is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you really want to make sure that you're allowing that time for kind of carrying out activities that are actually going to meet the kind of skills that you want to develop, rather than just sort of going, that kind of looks right, I think I'll just try that and it might work. It kind of taking a step back, allowing yourself time, pacing yourself across the year, and not trying to rush everything quickly is a very good way of having consistency, not leaving it all until the last minute either, but making sure that you've got actual time to reflect on what you're learning, rather than just rushing on to the next piece.
There's a new question. It says that should I take any course to become more familiar with CPD?
That's a good question.
We have got a series of workshops running. So if you were interested in how to navigate our system and actually use it to the best of your ability, we do have those dates available on our website. So that's something we're running twice a month now, 4 sessions twice a month. So that's something you could use to come along to. We can book you on. But no, there's no particular right or wrong way of recording your CPD. Again, it's personal to you. And as long as you're filling in those boxes of the requirement on the blueprint system, then it's quite straightforward once you're used to using it a lot. And that again is another important detail to remember. If you're regularly recording it, you're going to get used to the system quicker.
Definitely. And what we will do after this session is we'll send an email out with the recording of this session and any upcoming events that you might find useful, including the information about those CPD workshops. And I think in general, now that you're kind of more familiar with CPD, what you might start realizing is that at work or in different kind of professional circles, you might hear it referred to as different things or described in slightly different ways, but you'll know now that it's all referring to that same process of assessing yourself against something like a standard or a competency framework, looking for those areas to improve and then working on those areas. In previous jobs I've had, it's been referred to as CPD or just professional development or personal training. There's all kinds of ways that people might refer to it, but what you will probably find after this webinar is that you might reflect on the different ways that you have gone through self-assessment, whether it's any of those examples that Abdul mentioned earlier, for example, things like personality tests or kind of skills-based tests, and you might realize that actually the process of self-assessment is one that's embedded in our day-to-day lives. It's just that CPD is a kind of formal way of recording it, especially in the context of the occupational safety and health profession.
All right.
Right.
So it doesn't seem to have any other questions about CPD and self-assessment. Yeah.
I have just seen one question come in, sorry to interrupt, from a student member who has just graduated with their BSc in Safety, Health and Environmental Management. Do I need CPD in order to upgrade my membership to grad IOSH? I think that's a question for Tracy.
We don't ask for any CPD to transfer a category of membership. It might be a good idea to have a look around the system and get started on it. but we're not going to not transfer you to another category because you haven't started your CPD. But once obviously it gets you to most likely that qualification will get you to a grade of membership that we do ask for CPD. So it's recommended to start it now. Wouldn't do any harm, but please send us a copy of your certificate, a copy of your modules transcript, and a copy of your CV, and we can look into that and get you transferred.
Yes, as a student member, you will probably have started to receive emails from us and newsletters just to update you on what happens next. You've got 3 months to transfer over to your next member grade, so look out for those. At the end of this webinar, we'll be sharing an email, so if you do have any questions, then you can get in contact with us directly. And any questions that we've not been able to answer today or that we've missed, we will respond to via email. I can see we've had a few questions about membership, and obviously we'll share some information with you after the session.
So there is another question. I have been asked for 30 hours CPD to upgrade my grade IOSH to CM IOSH after completing CSP. So I think he's trying to upgrade his membership from grade IOSH to chartered member. And for CPD audit, I think they have asked him for 30 hours. I think that's the question.
Yeah, we at this stage, because we only launched the system in November 2022, we can't ask for 30 hours yet, because we've not had it going for 12 months. So what we're asking for, if you particularly move into chartered membership because of your CSP and you've done your open assessment, then what we need to see on the CPD review is that you've completed a self-assessment on Blueprint and you've created your personal development plan, please.
Okay. Questions coming in. Okay, so far nothing. So I think this is answered, yeah. Questions in the chat box, yeah.
Yeah, I can see one more question from Aloke about which membership they can upgrade to. So I'll get in contact with you after the session and send you some information.
Yeah, a new question. I'm a student reading degree and how can I obtain? Okay, so to obtain IOSH membership, we'll get back to it shortly before ending the session. So yeah.
Somebody's asked, I'm currently pursuing NEBOSH International Diploma and already had a NEBOSH level 3 already. Please send that in to us again. Until we see the qualification, we can't advise, unfortunately. So we will have to see a copy of your final certification and then we can advise. I can advise that a level 6 or equivalent in IOSH that we accredit and recognise is equivalent to at present graduate membership, but we have to confirm that once we've seen your qualification, because there's different, whether it's international or whether it's what the date is actually on your diploma as well. So there's different things and that we have to look at.
Definitely.
Is it because of the change we had recently for NEBOSH certificates, like in membership, because of people being recognized by education bodies?
It's always been the case. So it's, until we actually see that evidence, we can't really recommend a category, because we obviously have to see that first and then we can respond to that.
Yeah, I think with membership grades, it's a combination of your kind of skills, knowledge and experience and education. So each person has to be assessed individually. And as you can imagine, new providers are getting accredited every day as well. So it's always important to check directly on your individual qualification. And then we've had a question on IOSH membership benefits. We'll send some information after the session, but we will also share with you a webinar that we have coming up towards the end of September on the 28th about how to maximise your student membership. So if anyone on the call is interested in that, then please do look out for that webinar. We will be advertising it. And we have another question, I think, that Abdul's probably just spotted as well, that I think is for Tracy, about after completing required CPD hours, how should they contact you to upgrade the membership?
Yeah, please send us an email. That email is cpd.inquiries@iosh.com, and then we can put you forward for a CPD audit for you.
Okay, put that in the chat.
Yeah. The other questions are related to when do we have next seminar coming in?
This is the last one of our employability series, but we will be doing one on maximising your membership on the 28th of September at the same time, and we will be joined by a member from the Chiltern branch and a member from the Future Leaders community to talk about their experiences of membership. So if you are interested, please do look out for the link. We will send it to you via email.
Okay, you guys they can also see the schedule for webinars coming up on IOSH website.
That is correct.
So
we have
a lot coming up for next week, like for CF, IOSH, and membership, what do you call, becoming chartered member through experiential route. So there are series of webinar coming up next week and following weeks. So you can see it on IOSH website.
Excellent point. Yeah, if you go onto our website, and there is a section on webinars and also previous recordings of webinars. So please do take a look at that.
There's the link on the chat box so they can refer to it anytime. Yeah.
Excellent. Right then, I think we will return to the slides and we will close the session.
Okay. Okay,
Sweet.
to find more. Okay, you have everything?
I was just going to add that you should have had a poll show up on your screen to see if your understanding of CPD has improved, stayed the same, or decreased.
All right, so to find more about the webinar, you can watch our previous webinars by scanning the QR code here. And you can log into Blueprint and explore resources and check out IOSH membership, like how to register or grades we have for IOSH for members. You can go to the website, iosh.com/membership. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, now it's X. So yeah, instead of Twitter, it's now X. You have YouTube, we have channel on LinkedIn and Instagram. Okay, in terms, yeah, for student membership benefits, okay. When you become a student member, you have benefits like you might be able to access any mentor. I am registered in IOSH as well as a mentor, so you can reach me there also if you want if you need any mentoring. For the other benefits, like student members are also eligible for annual student bursary of £250, and you will get access to our online career hub. There is a one-time payment fee for being student member. It's £15. It's a one-time payment, yeah. Okay, so I think that's it from my end. Yeah, thank you everyone. And if we didn't answer any of your question, please email it to careerhub@iosh.com and we'll get back to you. I think that's the end. We don't have, how do I become a member? Okay, a few questions coming in, but again, we answered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks very much
Thank
to
you, everyone.
both of the panelists for joining us today. And as I mentioned earlier, if we've got any questions that have come in the chat, we will get back to you via email.